Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and a brand new video on Marvel Contest of Champions. This video is going to be a condensed guide to the trials, the 6 days, and then the infinite. Because I thought, well, rather than doing like separate videos of each day, it's probably best just to condense it down to a small video that does a complete guide for a lot of it. So let's jump into this video. So let's look at the facts of this event. So number one, we have got 6 days of competing at 3 fights or 3 enemies that you face off against. And then it goes to a 7th day, which is your Trials of the Infinite, and there is a few more with regards to opponents. Number 2, you'll be able to compete each day, and as you're aware, you can only do 1 difficulty. Nextly, on the 7th day, you'll be able to enter all of the difficulties, which is great. Fact number 3, you get boosts each completion day, which then will help you when it comes to Trials of the Infinite, as it's going to mean that you're going to be able to get through that more difficult content. A lot of people did forget to use boosts first time round when it came to Trials of the Infinite. So remember on that 7th day to use all your boosts, including the Frank the Tortoise boost. So make sure you use his boost. Boost me on Trials. Boost me on Trials. It's not working as it's intended to be. So in this guide, what we're going to do is focus on the champions that we could use in different types of trials. Obviously, we'll have a look at what is in the trials, like what boosts the enemies get, and what to really look out for and prepare for. One thing I must say before we delve into this is people need to understand their limits. A lot of people don't have necessary champions to do certain things, and I know a lot of people will kind of go, oh yeah, well it's really easy to do anything in game. Understandable, but also you have to understand your limitations. A lot of people are trying to do the expert of this, and they're finding that they are failing. But at the same time, there are things, like I said, that we can pick up. And it is a case you do have to have certain champions that are going to make it more easier, rather than having to put, like, I don't know, about 300, 400 combos. But let's start delving into this. Right, now let's get into this guide. Trials of Heart to begin with. Let's start with that. It's all about regeners. So you can see regen champions, your X23s, your Arc Overload champions. So you've got your Iron Man outfits. So those are the ones you mainly are going to face off against. Anything with regen, strong regen, you're probably going to see. So, when it comes to what do you use against these champions, it's got to be, number 1, heal reversers. So we got your Void, you've got your Guillotine, and you've got, to a lesser degree, MODOK with regards to the L1. And obviously L2 is with Guillotine. But when it comes to heal blockers, which a lot of people do have, you've got Civil Warrior, we've got Archangel, we have got a whole list of champions that could be of benefit in this circumstance. If you don't understand like a champion that may have heal block, then it's probably best to check their abilities, or if you search that in Google and put like heal blockers or heal block Marvel Contest of Champions, you'll probably get a long list. But Age of Ultron Vision, that's another option. There's a few to really kind of go against, and I think the biggest problem is if people don't have that, then they're going to have to try and nullify that. And the next thing with regards to nullifying that, and I again use that term very lightly, it's not always easy to kind of like get a nullification off. Then you're going to have to look to like Dormammu, and then you're going to have to look to like Scarlet Witch. So there's a whole host of different champions, but I would say if you could use Age of Ultron Vision, Guillotine, Void, as well as Civil Warrior. If you don't have any of those, you will find it a lot more difficult, and you may have to then work on trying to apply more damage based on certain champions that increase damage through detrimental effects like poison and bleeds. When it comes to Trials of Time, this is all about trying to kind of get champions down. If you've got loads of 5 stars at higher rank, you're probably going to find a lot of these quests easy in any case. But when it comes to you kind of like raising your game, you have 3 minutes to knock down your enemy, and that is the point and the aspect of time that's maybe difficult for you if you're trying to get constantly into expert. If you're choosing expert and you're feeling you can do it, then you've got to have the champions for it, and it's all about putting as much damage against the enemy as possible. So you're going to find difficult opponents, and it's all about putting things like bleeds and poisons in order to kind of really maximize damage. So Archangel's cold snaps with Iceman, Gwenpool, anything that can do a high amount of damage in a short space of time may be effective, or champions over a space of time that can do a large amount of damage, that would be the option for you. Dr. Voodoo is going to be incredibly handy during this event with regards to, like, you know, damage taken early on, as well as damage dealt back with things like Spirit Venom and Spirit Poisons and things like that. I always think it's handy to have a good power control champion in with regards to any team that you face off against. So if you're going into each trial each day, it's always handy to have one just in case. and it may be handy in doing the Trials of Time. But the main focus is high damage in a short space of time. Okay, next up, when it comes to Trials of Resilience, this is when you don't want to take in energy damage champions as well as kind of like high physical damage champions. This is when your bleeders and your poisoners and even your incinerators become of advantage to use. And obviously if you're making that jump up to expert and you're finding it a little bit hard, then you have to again understand that you have to put high damage output by detrimental effect. So detrimental effectors, so we've got Archangel. I was about to say Iceman. Don't use Iceman because that's I think that's an energy based attack, which obviously energy resistance is not good. Gwenpool, we've also got, because that's a double whammy there, we've got a little bit of Incinerate. We've got the L2 from Rocket Raccoon. That again, that could be quite mighty and quite powerful. Not saying that that would be the best champion to use, but again, it's all about that detrimental. Phoenix, as well as Hyperion, 2 champions as well. Great amount of, yes, unfortunately physical aspect to those 2 champions, but we've got Incinerate, which is just like, it's the best for it. Next up, when it comes to Trials of Spirit, this is the point where we need to focus on power control champions. So we've got ones like Dormammu, Dr. Voodoo, Magic, Vision. The list does go on with regards to power control. You can use anything that can really kind of power control effectively. I know I said Dr. Voodoo, but you know, he's kind of a double whammy, and we got that first bit of regeneration, which is helpful when it comes to battling difficult opponents. So he can take a little bit of damage and also dish it back out again, which obviously we like to do. Anything that does power, I mean, like we've got Gwenpool, it's got like a power lock in with the L2. So again, you can mix and match with this, but obviously power control is vitally important. Trials of Wisdom can be a little bit annoying, but I think it only becomes a little bit annoying when it comes to the last day, Trials of Infinite, where Mesmerize is a little bit of a pain in the butt. I mean, we can take or leave stuff with regards to Bane, but when it comes to Mesmerize, this is the point where you need to use champions that are going to be as annoying to the enemy. Likewise, so obviously that stun is pretty annoying that you potentially get, that percentage and that 1%, but obviously you can counteract that. If you've got champions like Mordo, I recommend Mordo for this, because if you're stunned, imagine that, it's like they've evaded you, you're stunned, boom, they hit in, and you've taken some damage. It can be a very annoying hit. However though, what if you can astral evade, and that obviously then puts that degeneration on, which again is saving your ass each time that you get stunned by the enemy. So that's a top tip there for that champion. As well, King Groot, with regards to like, he absorbs his fury and then is able to then you know, come out of that stun pretty easily like that. Anything that maybe evades could be of handy. Rogue could be quite handy for this as well, with regards to like that 1 second just being like rip, and then she's out again. But essentially you're going to have to, you could use like just some physical champions that are going to put a large amount of damage in. I think I used Captain Marvel with this, but at the same time I could have used either of those. I said Rogue. Mordo is going to be like a definite one that I think is going to be handy in this situation. But again, you could use any champion for this. So we've talked about Trials of Wisdom. Let's move on to Trials of Strength. This is the one, I think it's as annoying as the one before, but it is like one of the most annoying, based on the fact that we're going to see a lot of damage from the enemy dished to you, even if you're in a blocked state. And this is the point where your playing ability, like with Trials of the Infinite, which we'll talk about in a minute, your playing ability has to improve based on certain things. So the concept of intercepting is going to be the best thing, intercepting and evading. In order to like improve that type of thing, then it's important to use champions that are going to aid that, and especially the evade part of things. So champions like Nightcrawler, we've also got champions like Spider-Man, either the enhanced or any of the Spider-Man line. Not so much with regards to Spider-Gwen, but again, that's another story for another day. It's at that point that Dr. Voodoo again becomes a valuable champion in order to do this, based on that regen at the start of every battle. So you effectively have got a buffer with regards to like being hit and then hitting back. And also the advantage of having things like poisons and kind of and power draining is really handy with regards to the character's signature ability. But obviously the champions that I mentioned, like Nightcrawler, is quite good because of the inbuilt deep wounds, and Spider-Man with regards to like, well, you know, crits and stuff, and especially with regards to like the armor breaks from like the cosmic version. There's a lot of things there that are going to be of benefit, and yes, you could use heavy hitting champions. I think that when you're trying to kind of shoot for this and say that you're kind of making that jump up and thinking, I really want to do expert every single day in order to reap the rewards, then you're going to have to play really carefully. So use certain champions that are able to evade out, but at the same time champions that are able to take punishment, and maybe even regen champions could be that buffer zone between you losing health and also taking the enemy's health down at the same time, because you will take damage. Okay, finally let's talk about Trials of Infinite. This is the final one, this is the 7th day, and this is the point where you put all your boosts on. You can choose the way that you do it, and obviously you can do all of them. I mean, for me, what I do is I do the most difficult one and then do the easier ones. And the reason being that if for whatever reason, I mean, I won't, but if you were in my situation, it's up to you how you start off, whether or not you do the easy ones and then do the hardest, or do the hardest first and then do the easy ones. For me, I'd rather kind of like I said, I do the hardest ones and then kind of see how much time I've got left to then do the others. And based on how much time the boosts then run out, because you only get, I think it's 30 minutes of those boosts, so it's important to use them and use them for all of them at the same time. Remember to put them on, because you will struggle with Trials of the Infinite Expert if you haven't got those boosts put on, because everything is amalgamated from the previous 6 days, that you're gonna see something that is gonna require you to have a diverse team to a degree. And there are things that you can like pick a mix with certain champions to put in, and I'm going to go through like a long list of champions that you should really kind of consider using. But the main focus should be that you have a power control champion, 2 detrimental effectors at least, regener, high critter, and then a heal blocker / heal reverser. And obviously you can pick and choose who you use. I think a lot of people will disagree with that kind of amount of champions kind of and the way they're situated, but there are certain champions that overlap in certain things, like Gwenpool is a detrimental effector but also has power lock, so there's a little kind of like, there's pluses and minuses with regards to certain champions being used. And the reason that we pick a mix is because you don't know the enemies you're going to face off against, and also it's handy to then kind of go, right, okay, well that's got some sort of immunity, but that one hasn't. This one be good, this one crits high, but at the same time it heal blocks high, so I'll put this against here. So you've got that pick a mix, you can choose who to go against, rather than saying, okay, well I've got a load of detrimental effectors that don't have any power lock at all. So it just gives you those options. Right, now the champions that you could use in this, I've put them together as a list. So we've got Dormammu, Age of Ultron, Vision, Magic, Guillotine, Iceman, Gwenpool, Hyperion, Archangel, Phoenix, Wolverine, X-23, Dr. Voodoo, Mephisto, Scarlet Witch, Blade, Stark Spidey, Standard Spidey, Cosmic Spidey. I've also got Medusa, Captain Marvel, Luke Cage, and King Groot. What I think is a good selection of champions that have different pluses and minuses about them in order to then take down the enemy. Try to have fun in this event. I know I've seen a few things on the forum where people have gone like, well, oh, I've tried Master, this is ridiculous on Trials of the Infinite. I know this is, again, is a thing that you will need certain champions to help you out, so your heal reversers and heal blockers are going to be incredibly important with regards to like trying to get you through stuff with regards to Trial of Hearts, as well as Trials of Infinite with regards to like high heal abilities. Remember to put your boosts on, because again, like just to re-remind you, some people didn't put their boosts on last time when it came to the last Trials of the Infinite, so hopefully people remember to do that, and hopefully you do enjoy this a lot for what it is, because you will get some decent stuff out of it. A lot of it is going to help me get to those last 3,000 shards I need to do my 6th attempt at trying to get a featured blade awakened, so you know, fingers crossed for that. So hopefully this guide helped out a few people and gave them a few perspectives of like different champions to use, also what to expect. I've been RichTheMan. Remember to follow me on social media, links will be popping up, as well as you know, have a great day and all that lovely stuff, and I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye bye for now.